So I did, my husband and I worked, we did different things in our lives. And being in banking, he understood money and he understood all the things that I didn't understand. And for me, being a very curious person, geriatrics kind of came to me because it's one thing to want to take care of people. It's a totally different thing to understand the human experience, the humanity behind the experience. It's a, when I talk, and I'm not diminishing any other profession, but I feel that being a geriatrician has a different kind of satisfaction this brings you, because you are dealing with not just the medical piece, the humanity. You're also dealing with the science of it. Like, I love the science. I love investigating. I love the theses that we come up with and the plan of care we come up with, and we make sure it works. Mm-hmm. And that's what led me to all these discoveries. Like, I had to think through and think deep about the people I was caring about and the outcomes I was looking for. So it's not enough to just tell someone to go take a Tylenol. Well, you have to have reasons why they need the Tylenol. What other medications will it interact with? That's great, but will they take it?
Right.
And who's going to make sure it's given to them? What if you're telling someone to go buy a medication that they can't even get to go to the store to buy it? And the delivery guy that's supposed to deliver is delivering it to their daughter's address. And so this is all the complications that we look at in geriatrics that makes medicine so much more fun, because you're solving real problems, you ask real questions. And so to me, I realized that being someone like me, geriatrics became what I would gravitate to in medicine, because I was meeting people at different points in their lives, but I was also solving real problems. I hate to say that, because everybody's solving a problem in medicine. Of course, the doctor's probably doing a great job, but but
it's true.
That's really the way I'm thinking about it. We really look at the vulnerable, and we look at all the little parts of what could affect someone, what could affect the outcome you're looking for this, and then you personalize it and make sure it works. And then you go back and do it again and figure out what you did right and what you did wrong. It's really incredible.
Yeah. Wow. What an incredible journey to arriving at your passion. So, can you share with us what you believe are the greatest challenges impacting geriatric care today?
So the biggest problem that, the wrong word is problem. I think challenges is actually the right term, because an opportunity. Where we are with geriatrics today is very different from the geriatrics of the past. The first thing we're committed to is trying to figure out how to get people to live better lives. That is, the quality of life matters so much. And we're focusing on that in the new ways that we've approached geriatric care has actually made the challenges more obvious. Because if you start to look at people from the perspective of the quality of the life they live, sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have medical problems. It means that the medical problems they have may have tentacles, may have other things that are impacting them. So our biggest challenge is actually providing care that is personalized. That is number one. Finding a way to give that, you have all these guidelines that they give us in medicine that we work with, the evidence-based medicine we provide, but people have their personal values, personal culture, personal ways of doing things. They've lived their lives much longer than you have. They have had experiences. People have passed away. Friends have died. They have family members that they've loved and lost, or they are still loving. And now you're talking about separation. They have to figure out alternative housing. And those are huge burdens that people have to bear. How do we provide care that actually focuses on that quality? The first challenge is identifying who are you actually giving care to? Are you treating yourself? Or are you treating the patient? Are you trying to make yourself feel good by knowing all these medical problems? Or are you treating the actual thing that they came to tell you? Look, I'm having problems with food. And it's not that they're not eating, it's that they're on toast and tea every day. And no one is going to the fridge to open the door to see, to fridge door to see that there's nothing in there because they're alone. And family members live so far away. So these are the things that impact geriatric care. It has to do with the actual quality of care that you're providing, how they are consuming the information you're providing, and who is going to make that, you know, that journey successful for them, not your treatment, but the thing that the person you're trying to help, how are they going to be successful with the care that you're providing? And so, and I'm purposefully reframing it from a more technical way to make it to kind of give people the more the way geriatricians think, the way we think. This is how we think. We are not trying to be scientific about what we're trying to do. We're trying to solve real problems, and we're trying to put it in the words that matter to the person you're taking care of.
This is so important. You touched on so many things here, you know, ranging from the importance of communication, using a little bit of intuitive thought and process when you're communicating with the client and the family. I mean, you've really touched on some key things that if you were simply just going off of a medical chart could be missed, right? Because you could, as a physician, give the exact protocol and exact process, but if it's not doable, if it's not something that the client or the patient and their family can integrate that works for them, then you're checking the boxes, but not necessarily in a way that's customized and supports your patient. So I love how you focus so much on the importance of making sure that your patient is being seen and being heard and being, cared for. That's huge. So what ways would you say we can support the aging population? What are some things that, those of us and every day out here just doing our thing, what can we do to help support?
The the programs that have been set up, there are lots and lots of programs that have been set up to support seniors, and they have been, there are lots of associations and non-for-profit associations that focus on geriatric awareness, care, things like that. Social senior centers that are there that, they have a lot of programs, and those are all free programs and things like that. The main gap that I see that everyday people, like you said, may not realize are, what the aging process actually looks like. What is normal, what is not? What do you, how can you help? How can you identify who in your immediate network needs a little more support? And we're not asking people to become like evangelists or start, walking around looking for people to support. But if you look in your immediate, family, you might find that you might have someone that does not, doesn't communicate the way they used to, and sometimes they chalk it up to, oh, she's getting old. Maybe she can't hear very well anymore. Maybe and we don't remember how we don't realize how hearing can impact your socialization. And socialization is so important for a human being that you can't overstate what hearing, or the loss of hearing can do to a person. That's not about any, other senses like your vision and things like that. What about, depression? What happens when there's a loss? And we may not necessarily understand all the loss is complex. It's a very complex, situation, and people have different ways of grieving and different ways of moving on. But imagine that there might be people around you that you may not realize are suffering, and that's really the point here. So as a person, living your life, trying to make your life work, trying to understand how life works, it really helps to take a pause when you're talking to someone that's a little older, someone that's a senior. A lot of seniors work really hard. They've worked really hard all their lives. They're still working hard. They didn't stop because they're older now. But life changes and things change. The body doesn't work the same. Your mind can stay, you can still have the mind. Sometimes I tell my husband, I feel like I'm too. And then next other day I wake up and I'm like, I'm sure I'm 50 today. Because there are different things that impact the ways you still but older, sometimes you lose your resources. So having not necessarily the best, and you don't have to be as empathetic as I'm telling you. You have to, stop being kind to every senior. No, I really want people to understand that being a senior doesn't mean that you suddenly lose your abilities, that you've had all your life. So protecting people's dignity is the only thing that will probably matter for anyone off the streets that's just trying to connect with somebody or someone that in your family you need to, you need to interact with in some way, or you need to protect in some way. Preserving people's dignity, respecting them, and the values that they have, what they've brought to the table, makes such a big difference that it can actually empower people to do more with themselves when they feel valued or when they feel understood or respected. And that cannot be overstated, especially when there's illness, there's loss, and there's depression. And those are the things that may uniquely affect seniors that younger people may not experience. Now, some people might still have all their high school friends, but when you get to 85, you may be there doing, you may be taking vacation and everything, but you're doing it alone now. And you're no longer, your social circle has really diminished. Go to your old school reunion and there's only 3 of you left. So those are the things that people don't realize. Yeah, they do. So they're still working hard on living their lives. I have a lot of 90-year-olds that are very strong living their lives, but they have had experiences that they need to be respected for.
I love that you pointed out so many important things, and you use the word dignity, and I love it because as you were talking, some of the things that were coming to mind as you were speaking were, dignity, respect, honoring a person where they are in their process and in their aging process, being sure to offer grace and compassion and empathy in some cases. But the biggest thing that sticks out as you're talking is that dignity piece, honoring and respecting our elders. We don't all get to have the honor of aging, and so for our population who did get to experience that process, we need to be kind, we need to be gentle, and we need to honor them with dignity. So thank you for pointing all of that out. I want to hop over to a topic of talking a little bit more about preserving the human experience, because in your work, you often echo what you've said, and I saw it on your site too. It's kind of a philosophy, the importance of preserving the human experience. It's something that's near and dear to many people as they're walking that path of aging and through geriatric care. And this is a time when there are a lot of changes and uncertainties, just as you've pointed out, frustrations can occur. But when you're saying preserve the human experience, can you talk to us a little bit more about what that means to you?
Yes, thank you. So I've come from a very I come from a different place. There are different ways people define the human experience, good or bad, plus or minus. What is it? It is how has people define it in the way that philosophically they agree with, I should say, and it's all correct. They're all accurate. My way of looking at the human experience is these are just complicated connections that that really intersect between the relationships you've had, the experiences you had, the decisions you've made in your life, and how that has affected you, good or bad, how that has
Mm.
impacted you, good or bad, and how that impact actually translates to your identification of what is suffering and what is not. That is your perception of the impact of all the things that are happening to you or have happened to you, or what you perceive, how you perceive, you know, the world, in
Mm.
the sense that you're talking about. I purposely don't want to use the word happiness because it's such a big term too. But
It
in
is.
terms of saying what do you consider suffering, or what do you consider not? What do you consider acceptable, tolerable, and completely unacceptable? It
Hmm.
has to do not just with biology, and and because we forget that there's a biological piece to how, when, for us, for example, we have things that happen to them uniquely that men do not experience. Men have things that happen to them that women do not experience biologically. And then you have to think about all the psychosocial piece of it, the connections, and how the interactions we've had.
Dr. Shi will be right back with us. Again, I want to thank everyone for hanging in there with us on this interview. I know it's a bit challenging trying to make sure we stay connected. We've had a lot of, like
So
I said, some
I
challenges connecting,
yeah,
but we're
I'm
here.
so
Go
sorry.
ahead.
It's
No, you're
crazy.
fine.
Yeah. No, so basically, it's thinking about the human experience as those, like the interconnection of these complicated, uh, you know, situations. And I use the word experiences, relationships, and decision making that impact you and how you interpret that impact. That is truly
Mm,
your experience as a person. So,
yeah.
and for me, I look at it as our hypothesis is, can we actually look at people, understand what's going on with them, and really think about how we can make this human experience preserved in a time when we're all digital, everyone's on some device, everything's happening virtually. It's almost like there's an alternate universe going on our,
Yeah.
our devices, on social media and things like that. But it's all part of our human experience. How can we make sure that we preserve who we are as a person, who we are
Mm,
as a, I know, as me. So, for example, I'm looking at myself as a physician. How I
like, there we go.
thinking, how does that affect, all the, does that make me cranky? Is that okay?
Mhm.
Does that make me happy? Does it make me empathetic? And how do I interact with my environment and people? And how has that enhanced my ability to do a better job,
Mhm.
to show up better for people? You know,
Yeah.
so in that way, when you're thinking about the human experience, I'm looking at it, not just looking at how you interpret all that's happening to you, at you, and how you use that information, to
Mm,
impact your world. So that needs to be protected and not taken away, because we don't want things to tell us what to do. That's
agreed.
probably the best way to say it. How we don't want things to influence us so much that our is our hypothesis, building a system building, is very simple. How can we preserve the human experience and give people quality of life?
Yeah.
You know, and and when we talk about the AI, I can tell you a little bit more about where we've gone with that.
Mhm. Yes. So let's jump into technology and care. Let's talk about that because you have found a way to integrate technology as part of your care services offered. And I'd like to really share that and spotlight that with our listeners. I first want to talk about CareSync And for CareSync, you offer counseling through the CareSync program. I saw it on your website, and I encourage everyone to go and check that out on your website, and we'll share where they can see all of that information there. But can you share a little bit more about CareSync? Talk about who can use it, what does it do? Is it in person? Is it virtual? Can you just give us an overview of what the CareSync program is?
Yeah. I so when we started out, just a little background about caring. Basically, when we started caring for patients in my practice, and we really started focusing on, because initially we had a practice where we had, we had adults 18 plus. Because I'm also an
Okay.
internist as well as a geriatrician. So my practice, we had everybody come to the clinic. Eventually, we reorganized, especially with the pandemic, and said, no, we are a geriatrics practice. We actually, that's our sentiment, that's where our heart is. So we eventually were able to gravitate towards keeping our practice keeping our practice purely geriatric, right? So what we did was we started looking at how our care, what we were doing, what we were providing impacted families and the
Mhm.
outcomes we're looking at. How many of our family members, how many of our patients are ending up back in the emergency room after you discharge them? Sort of that revolving door. Somebody goes, the hip comes back into, goes to the emergency room, gets surgery, does rehab, goes back again, has a pneumonia, goes back again. But how many of that is happening? And believe it or not, it's a huge problem. And we really started focusing on improving those numbers and making sure that when we discharge people, we actually have them stay home and be happy at home. They don't have to go through this whole cycle again, because one hospital admission can mean almost a month away from home for a senior. Believe it or
Wow.
not, because they might go to rehab. It's such a harrowing experience that all people want when they retire is to have a good life. But then
Mhm.
you have all these medical problems that come up.
Mhm.
So we started thinking about, okay, how can we improve certain numbers? And we found out that the caregiver, a lot of people have family members that help with decision making, that know what mom is taking, that are paying attention to, the finances. There are
Mhm.
different people that do different things. Some people, play different roles in the family.
Mhm.
And we found out that a lot of times the 34% of caregivers complain that they have no clue what's going on. The doctors
Mm.
aren't talking at them. No one's telling them what's going on. Even when they tell them what.
Yeah, and so I love that with CareSync, you are integrating the family into the process, and that we're able to see how you can support the patient, but also bring the family member in to make sure everybody's on the same page and completely synced up. And it's a technology and a tool that can be used to support the entire team that are caring for your patient. That's huge.
That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about Reminder Link. You have another opportunity for individuals to integrate technology, and you use Reminder Link. It's a solution that can remind loved ones, patients alike. Can you tell us a little bit more about Reminder Link and how that works?
So reminder links is really what it does is that it's a two-way instant reminder, and it's available on the app, Android. It's available on what you call it? It's available on the web. So your loved one doesn't have to know how to use a phone,
Okay.
doesn't need to know how to use a phone. What it does is that you, as a caregiver, you set reminders, medication reminders, appointments, what have you. There's a
Mhm.
whole list of categories you can set up, anything you want that you want your loved ones to be reminded of. And then it will tell you if they actually did what you reminded them of. One is that you set it up on your phone, it shows up directly on their own device or the computer or what they have. And the beauty of it is that it completely has most of the time, let's say you live in California, your loved one lives in North Carolina, and you're trying to figure out what they're doing. They may not be able to tell you. They're like, oh, Mom, did you go to the doctor? Yeah, doctors. I hate doctors. That's not what you're asking. You really want to know what a doctor said. You want to know how to follow up with things. You want to know what to do.
Right.
But they're not telling you. So, but if you're communicating with the doctors and you have this whole list, you know the medications, you know what they're taking, you can actually even tell the doctor, look, I can tell you she's not taking this because she is not responding to anything, any of these cues. And that can be why she ends up back in the emergency room, because she's not doing what, it's such an important device, an app, that you cannot overstate what that feedback loop can do. And once the person gets comfortable, you find that a lot of the things you can do that specifically made for caregivers, so that
Yeah.
you can be the benefit of one. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's so
I
important
can
to
tell you
have
one
such a,
but
yeah, I think it's so important to have a tool that can support and remind, because oftentimes, especially with our aging population, there could be multiple medications. There could be, time specific where they need to be taken, and caregivers and family who are
exactly.
supporting oftentimes might be working themselves, having children they're taking care of, having their own laundry list of things to remember. And so having this tool to help you leverage and support during those times is so important, because it can be so complicated trying to manage so many schedules. So for the caregiver or the proxy, as well as the patient, I think it's a wonderful way to have some checks and balances in place to help support and make sure medications are being taken on time, appointments are being, are occurring. Like you said, those cues of being able to tell, is there follow through from the patients? And if not, what can you do to adjust and support from a practitioner standpoint as well? So now I want to jump over to talk about Flor AI. Flor AI, I know you and I talked about Flor AI prior when you and I first spoke, and you're so passionate and excited about it. And in your messaging, you've shared that Flor AI is designed for real people with real lives, busy professionals, caregivers, parents, people carrying a lot, an AI that does not work for people, not one that replaces what makes us human. So I'd love for you to share with our listeners a little bit about the story behind Flor AI, and also talk about any challenges that you feel that Flor AI is addressing or helping to solve or assist with.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Oh
So
my
yeah,
goodness.
so if you could just share the story behind Flor AI and the challenges that you believe Flor AI is helping to solve or support, or where that's really filling some gaps for us.
So Florence AI was born out of the same concept. We're really still looking at how to impact outcomes, right? We're trying to think about how we can help everybody succeed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the thesis behind Florence AI came on when we were really we're delving deep into the inflection point we have now in life called artificial intelligence, right? It's
Right.
been around all this time, but this is the time that large language models have gotten into the conversation, and now we're having all this progress. It's happening very fast. So a lot of people are losing their jobs. Think about the people that got laid off at HP. Lots of people have been laid off in all these companies.
Mm-hmm.
And part of what we started to think about was, how can we again again preserve the human experience in the
Mhm.
midst of this, you know, almost exciting but really difficult time?
Yeah.
Because there are lots of winners and there are lots of losers in this game right now,
Mhm.
as there have been over, over the years and millennia. In this situation, for example, so the challenge we have here, or what we are challenging ourselves with Flor AI is we want to build something that is for the human person, the actual person. We want AI that works for us. Doesn't work for the
Mhm.
we don't want the one that works for corporations. We're not trying to solve the world's largest problems, but we know that there are busy people that are
Mhm.
working really hard, that are
Right.
getting up every day, and they're at the mercy of the decisions being made by the corporate bodies. They're being made by all kinds of people. The big giant companies are telling people all this stuff is happening to people. And what
Mhm.
it's causing is a lot of hardship. So, can we impact people? Can we actually even go a little bit further boldly and say, can we end suffering in the
Mhm.
midst of hardship? Isn't that crazy? But
It is.
we're looking at it, and as geriatricians, we understand that suffering is a very psychological, a very mental decision that you come
Mhm.
to when you're impacted, and you identify an impact as suffering. You can have a hardship, but it doesn't mean you're suffering. Believe it or not.
Right.
And in
Right.
this situation, we are saying we will do things differently. So we will actually turn things around and use this AI, or this artificial intelligence concept, um or opportunity, to really look at the human experience and look at how we are living our lives and actually make it better, more
Mhm.
so now than ever before, regardless of what else people are thinking about. They want to use artificial intelligence. So I'm sure there are lots of people trying to solve all kinds of problems, but
Yeah.
we want to solve the human problem first. We want to let people get up in the morning and not feel like they have a horrible day ahead. We don't want
Mhm.
people to get up in the morning and not know where to start their day from. We want people that are caring for their moms, their kids, and the so-called sandwich generation. We
Yeah.
want them to have a life. Can we actually make artificial intelligence make it so that you have a life amidst all this and actually feel completely at peace? Can you
Mhm.
feel that you're winning?
Mm.
Can you feel you're winning? Can you feel that you get up in the morning and the things that you're working on, they're achievable?
Mhm.
And you see
Mhm.
impact, you see growth in spite of this crazy hardship that people are facing. So
Yeah.
isn't it like, I think it's just bold.
It is. It's bold, it's exciting, it's very forward thinking, and it's taking something that's occurring. And I know you and I have talked about this separately. AI is here, it's happening. Technology continues to evolve, so we can choose to embrace and incorporate it in ways that help make life easier. But then you also shared
Exactly.
yeah, but then you also shared the importance of preserving the human experience in the midst of incorporating and integrating all of this technology. So
Yes.
I love that that's what this platform is doing, but at the same
Yes.
time, really helping to bring in all of your patients, their caregivers for the better, and to kind of streamline some things to make it a little bit easier.
Exactly. And that's why, I mean, the reason I'm having these conversations now is that we are we are seeing the impact. We're seeing that people love to use AI. They love the conversations.
Mhm.
People that want to use ChatGPT and all these tools to streamline what they're doing. It's
Mhm.
very different from having an AI that's built with you in mind. So
Yes.
if beyond patient care, beyond you specifically saying, "Oh, these are my patients. I'm only going to build a tool for them."
Mhm.
It's good to start from there, but we're trying to tell people, no, we want everyone to benefit. This is not a tool that we are saving for us. If you're a
Mhm.
busy adult, if you're someone that does it all, like you feel you get up every day, like I'm working so hard, I'm doing everything, nobody is paying attention. Once you start to ask yourself those questions, you are the person that needs to get on this companion app and start to use it to
Mhm.
streamline your world, let it take things off your plate. Like literally
Mm.
those mundane, redundant things that you don't want to do, let
Mhm.
the AI do it for you. That's how we started. If you want to brainstorm, have a conversation, understand why things are happening, save memories, like things you don't want to forget, things
Yeah.
you want to remember. Like, this is the AI can discern that and
Mhm.
save those for you. It will be there
Mhm.
for you. It will learn how to give you what you need. And right now, it's at its most earliest stage. So I always
Mhm.
tell people, get in early and make an impact. Get in early. Your feedback will be wonderful. You tell people what you want. You talk to us, send us emails, start
Mhm.
using the AI. This morning I actually was talking to Flor. It's Flor AI. Florence really is the AI in Flor AI. So I was talking to Florence and I said, "Hey, I had this podcast,
Mhm.
and there's a question that I'm curious about. I wonder if I should ask it." And she said, "No, let the podcaster have her day."
Oh, that's so funny. Well, you can
It's
always ask me any question. I'm here for it.
she
So,
was she was like politely saying, it's a good thing that you want to ask a question, but let her have her day. Let her. It's her show. She has her own idea of what she wants. She has her audience. I said, okay, that's fine. I don't mind. It was, but something like that, and you can get a
yeah,
good laugh out of it, isn't it? Isn't it
it's funny.
interesting?
But now you
Yeah.
have me curious. I want to know what the question was.
No, no, I think I was trying. I now see. I don't want to digress because it did tell me that, but it was basically me trying to say, okay, what do I have? What do I do beyond, beyond the podcast to help help your audience? Because for
Yeah.
me, I know I've gone to several shows, and everyone
Yeah.
has their unique angle and unique interest, and your audience, they know what they are looking for, and you've been very impactful. So I never want to leave without being helpful, without being,
Oh.
so she was like, no, let her decide. let It's not
I
you.
Oh, I
So,
love that. But the fact that you're asking that question speaks volumes of the way that you do your work because you are so conscious of making sure that what you're doing and what you're putting out there is impactful and helping others, right? You are wanting to leave you want to leave that footprint, that legacy that says, that Dr. Chi was here to help others. She made it her life's mission to reach out and help assist making lives better. And so it's more than just that tells me for you being a doctor doing geriatric care is more than just a job. There are those of us in the world that get up and we go to work and we do a job. And you know that you're there because you're doing the job to get the paycheck. And that's very clear that that's not how you're living your life. You are living your life intentionally. You are choosing to go out and improve the lives and quality of lives of others. And you're doing that through not only your daily interactions with your patients and their caregivers and their teams, but you're also doing that in ways that are impacting the world at a much larger level. And I say that because I'm listening
thank
to,
you.
yes, you're welcome. I'm listening to the technologies you're incorporating. You're literally revolutionizing the way geriatric care is happening. You're taking it a step beyond the seeing the patient every day. You're looking at a global big picture perspective, which is not it's not what everybody does, right? And not everybody's meant to do that, but you have been called to do that and you're doing that. So what I would say in response to that question is that just being here on this podcast today, having this conversation, sharing the work that you're doing, spreading the message of the opportunity for individuals to get involved with things like Flor AI, CareSync, also getting, onto your reminder links. looking at the different ways to integrate geriatric care, as because we're all going to navigate this space of having somebody age in our lives, and it may be us ourselves that are going through
Exactly.
that,
Exactly.
right? So
Yeah.
knowing that there are tools and there are opportunities out here, because the show is global, you are able to reach an audience in a way because you offer virtual services so that individuals know they don't have to just be right here in Massachusetts to interact with you. You're able to work with people wherever they are is huge. And sharing these messages, that's the biggest thing when it comes to the She Wise family and the audience and the listeners. I always try to bring new content, share information. It's all about wisdom, education, and insight for me. And you're
You have a
providing
wonderful
all of that.
show. You have
Yeah,
a
thank
wonderful
you.
show. It's so important. So important.
Yes,
Yes.
and the work you're doing is extremely important. So the answer is just by being here today and having this conversation is exactly how you are supporting the audience. And then also, what I would like you to do, two things I'd like you to do as we wrap up. I'd like you to share your main message for our listeners, but then I also would like you to share how they can get in touch with you because a lot of our listeners will hear a show and they'll learn about something they're interested in. And I know that, again, geriatric care is something we're all going to face in one capacity or another. So I'd like for you to share how people can get in touch with you and where they can find you. So let's make it easy.
So
Let's make
thank you
the main
so much.
message first.
Those are that very kind words. Thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome. You're
um
welcome.
I think the my final message or my main message here is that it is all possible now. And I've been saying that in some way, and I articulated this about 2 weeks ago, when I really delved into the why now of what I was doing.
Okay.
Why now? And it's because it's all possible now. We're at an inflection point
Mm-hmm.
in our lives. And I think artificial intelligence has opened a door to a different world. We are
Mm-hmm.
really in a new age, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't want us to take cards off the table. But
Mm-hmm.
I also say, if you think it, and if you are thinking that this is the life is as at its worst, or oh my goodness, is this happening to me? Why me? Why now? I'm telling you, it is all possible now to fix things. We
Mm-hmm.
can actually reorganize the way we do things. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to make changes. It's hard to adopt new ways of living, but
Mm-hmm.
it's possible. And
Mm-hmm.
you, and if we are here saying we have a goal to end suffering,
Mm-hmm.
especially when there's hardship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, it's not, I'm not making it, it's not a light statement. It is a definitive put my foot down
Mm-hmm.
because it's now, because we
Mm-hmm.
can do that now. And we
Mm-hmm.
couldn't do it before. So it's all
Wow.
possible now. Does that help? I don't
It
know.
does. It does. I
Yeah.
love it. That was powerful. I felt like
Thank
I could go
you.
out and be a superhero today.
Yes, you can. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you can do it. Yes, you can. We can do it now.
Yeah, and I've joked, I've talked to several people and I told them, I said, I feel like 2025 has been a dumpster fire for most people. It has really been a challenging year. We've been in a
Yes.
very interesting space in our human experience. We are
Yes.
battling, so many different things where things are moving at the speed of light. Technology is moving faster than we could ever have imagined, but there are ways to use it to our advantage, to incorporate it to be in a
Yes.
very good, greater good capacity. And all of these struggles and challenges, just like you said, you hit the nail on the head on this one, is it's possible. Things are possible that we
Yeah.
may not have thought were possible before.
Yes. Yes. And we
Yeah.
should refocus on people. Yes.
Yeah. I love
Absolutely.
it. All right, Dr. Chi, share with our audience, where can they find you? How can they connect with you? Learn, get involved with Flor AI. Give us all the info, please.
Okay. So let me start with Flor AI, you go to Flor for me That's FLOR number 4
Okay.
me.ai. I will take you to the floor, the AI companion, which is
Okay.
we've rolled it out and we're hoping that people just use it. Start with it. You will hit the onboarding. Once you click on the orb, that's Florence. It will
Mhm.
take you to the onboarding guy, and then you can skip that, and then you go directly into chatting or talking with Florence, and you can just get started. We want feedback. We want people right now to use it for free and tell us everything. Be comfortable telling us what you don't like, what you want, because we are not afraid of criticism now because we're not afraid of criticism in general. We
Right.
want the feedback. We want as much as possible. And I believe that I don't want Floor AI to grow in my image and likeness. I want it to be everyone's Floor AI. And that's
Mm.
because that's what we're building. We're building a tool to help us. And we all have
Mhm.
different experiences.
Mhm.
So we have a tool that we can actually give the power to do a lot for us. How wonderful would that be? So floor for me.ai, you
Okay.
get started, use it every day, be comfortable with it and put it to work. Then secondly, and of course you can talk to it at any time. It's always available to have a conversation with you. And there's a lot of emotional intelligence built into it. So it
Mhm.
can understand your moods and how you feel and how things are impacting you.
Mhm.
And then also, if you call us on the phone, let's say you just want a consultation, you're having some concerns. If you call us 508-556-1072. That's an easy way. If you get a voicemail, someone will reach out to you. So you would
Okay.
always get that. To make an appointment for the Care Sync program, if you want to have an interview on the website,
Mhm.
www.wpnscaresync.com.
Okay.
I mean, there you can make appointments online. Okay. And then, so that one is, I think we have some free, I think there's a discovery call that's free, like a 30-minute discovery call that's free. So people can always call, make an appointment, or you can schedule it on your own and we'll talk to you. There's always someone that will hear you out and try to put you in the right direction. We also have an emotional release call that we actually it's also on that website. If you
Okay.
absolutely need to reach someone because you're in a crisis situation, this is not medical care. This is advice. So
Mhm.
we're not providing treatment. So if you have a crisis that requires you to go call 911, call 911. We're
Mhm.
really talking about if you're trying to make a decision about a
Right.
loved one, you're trying to make a decision yourself.
Mhm.
A typical example is somebody is trying to move, they don't know if it's time for them to finally move to Florida, and they're
Mhm.
not sure how it will impact their loved one, or
Mhm.
a lot of people that are retiring also have elderly parents that are in their 90s. So
Mhm.
how do you stop making that decision, or what do you do? So we're able
Right.
to help tease out that conversation and help you straighten things out for yourself and give you the resources that will help. So we have that, and you can do it. And so we can give you that. Then the app is Reminder Link. So if you go to reminderlink.com, you can get on the app. It's on the App Store. Just
Okay.
type in Reminder Link, one word, and you can either go on the App Store, Android, or on the web. It's
Okay.
available.
And lastly,
Mm,
you have a book.
yeah.
Where do they find your book?
The book is on the website on purpose.
Okay.
So this
Perfect.
particular book it's more, I call it a guide,
Okay.
but it's really trying to put a lot of information. It's the first volume, and the second volume will be published maybe a couple of years from now, because we want to do a lot of research and then throw it in there to make sure that it's more robust and matches the times.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the book is on the website, How to Take Control. So it's the blueprint for family caregivers.
Mhm.
And we're giving it away right now through the holidays for people that, refer people to the Floor AI and send us feedback. Once somebody sends feedback and says or tells us what we do, we're setting it up so that they can always grab the book. And your audience right now, the book is free, so your audience can just go on our website right now and just grab a copy. It wouldn't. I know it's not going to stay that way. I think the original price is somewhere like $27, but I know that right now we're trying to make sure that everyone has a copy. We have another book on Amazon. I think it's called something to do with, I should remember, right?
That's okay.
The thing
It's
is
a
that
lot.
I'm not great with Amazon. That's the thing. I'm always very careful. I don't put all my stuff in Amazon for a reason, but
Yeah.
I because I want to make sure that people can actually, get things free if they can,
Yeah.
without feeling like they have to jump through hoops. So that it's more like it's a book for family caregivers, but it's really looking at your finances, like how to approach financial planning for
Mm,
caregivers. So that I can send out later. But the book
yeah.
I think that really makes that's the most valuable book yet, I should say, is really this one that says How to Take Control, because it has a lot of information about what you should know as a caregiver, what matters, what the doctors are thinking, how you plan
Mhm.
for doctor's visits, all the things that you should have as a goal. And of course, if you have Flor AI, you can get her to plan this for you and make
Yes,
sure that things are set for you. So
I love it.
the goal is for people to have the right resources. Yes, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you, Dr. Chief, for coming on today and for braving the cold. I know we had some technology challenges, but we made it through, and I'm glad we did because you had so much information to share, so important and impactful. So thank you for sharing your time with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Kristen. It was wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you.
And for our listeners, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode of the Surviving the Human Experience podcast. And until next time, be well and stay blessed.